She did depart, encircled by kin, yet the hand she clasped was that of a stranger to them all. When the verity didst emerge, a hush descended upon the chamber as a tempest doth sweep. None did foresee the missive she hath left in her wake. The chamber of healing lay in silence profound. Lo! The machines did hum in soft refrain, whilst beams of sunlight, like playful sprites, did filter through the half-drawn drapery, waltzing lightly upon the linoleum floor. Upon the window-sill, fair blossoms did abound, gifts bestowed by comrades, kin, and cherished acquaintances alike. They didst fill the air with sweet perfume, as though to veil the shadow of death's presence. At the side of fair Clare lay a gentleman, his gaze gentle and his shoulders burdened with weariness. Michael's fingers did softly entwine with hers, his thumb in tender grace did trace the delicate curve of her hand. He appeared as one who had not known the solace of slumber for many a day, yet nary a whisper of discontent graced his countenance. Only devotion, serene and steadfast. His gaze did not stray to the company gathered within the chamber. He did not waver when Clare's brother did cough with discomfort by the threshold, nor when her mother, with tear-stained visage, did tenderly dab her eyes and averted her gaze from his countenance. There he lingered, uttering gentle murmurs to the way. The lady whom he cherished, alas, did not return his ardor, not any longer. Yet that did not hinder him from uttering his words. Thou wert valiant, he did murmur, even when they grasped not thy worth, and verily, most so in those moments. In yonder chamber, Clare's kin did sit, rigidly ensconced upon the chairs bestowed by the nurse's hands. Her mother, Eleanor, adorned herself with pearls and sported a tightly wound bun, steadfast and unmoved since the days of yore, the 80s. Stand by yonder window, arms entwined across his breast, gazing upon the chariots that did traverse the lot below, as if one might whisk him hence from this very instant. More, he showed no sign of response. Glimmer gently as he didst sweep a tress of hair from fair Clare's brow. Since that fateful day when vows were exchanged in a humble courthouse, 7 years hence, he hath not removed it from his finger. She did don hers as well, yet the eyes of the multitude oft failed to perceive it. Yet, on this day, the light did strike it with a most perfect grace. Lo, Clare's mother did cast a disapproving gaze upon the scene before her. Her brows did furrow, and her hand did grasp her purse with greater fervor. Not a soul did utter a single word. Never did they inquire of whom Clare did choose to share her holidays, when she did refuse their invitation to visit. They did not inquire as to the company she kept upon her travels, nor pondered the reason her eyes did gleam with a radiant light upon her return. Yet never did Clare extend her hand. She possessed wisdom beyond the ken of mere mortals. Michael, forsooth, had dwelt in shadows, unseen for many a year. Yet now, in the twilight of her days, he stood precisely where her heart had ever longed for him to be, to stand beside her, in plain sight, no longer cloaked in shadows, though they might still remain blind to his presence, perchance forever so. He did incline nearer, his brow softly resting upon hers. "Thou neededst not their leave," he did whisper, "and thou ne'er didst seek it." The heart's faithful sentinel did sound its steady chime, yet lo, a change did stir within the chamber's air. The air grew heavy with unease. A kinswoman didst clear her throat. One didst glance upon their timepiece. Michael cared not, for though a multitude gathered within that chamber, none possessed the knowledge of how Clare's smile did grace the morn. None amongst them did embrace her in the darkest throes of her affliction's revelation. None amongst them had beheld her mirth in the shadows when the light did flee, and they kindled candles merely to draw near in spirit. None amongst them did know her, not as he did. Thus he lingered, mute yet steadfast, an undeniable presence, though her kin did still avert their gaze. Michael, in silence, didst take his place beside fair Clare's resting form, the soft murmur of machines a weary chorus to recollections unbidden. Yet lo, it did come rushing forth, unbidden. His gaze did tarry upon the weathered leather satchel, ensconced beneath her hospital cot, from whence a corner of a portrait frame did shyly emerge. Lo, just discernible through the pane, a moment doth linger, ensnared in the grasp of eternity. Fair Clare, with sun-kissed visage and laughter sweet, doth rest her head upon his shoulder, whilst the waves do crash in symphony behind them. Upon the occasion of their anniversary, they ventured to Myrtle Beach, that singular realm where she need not conceal her essence, Yet, alas, concealment had been their fate since the very dawn of their union. He recalled the fateful day when vows were exchanged, and hearts entwined in solemn promise. It was not within a noble hall, nor amidst kin assembled round. There they stood, hand in hand, within the hallowed halls of a tranquil county courthouse. Fair Clare donned a gown of azure hue, her countenance adorned with a tremulous smile. Michael donned his finest raiment, a garment crafted with care for an interview of yore. Only two steadfast companions bore witness to the profound and genuine affection that blossomed betwixt them, a love most rare and true. No images hath been shared upon the vast expanse of the internet. No missives were dispatched unto the post. Fair Clare did declare her wish to shun the clamor, yet wise Michael perceived the truth beyond her words. He recalled the moment when she, with delicate grace, didst conceal her ring within her purse upon each visit to her progenitors. How she did weave her tales of busyness, ever so artfully, to explain her absence on festive days. How she would declare, perchance in the coming year, when fortune doth smile more kindly upon us. And he did embrace it, not from a place of frailty, but from the depths of affection. Upon the eve of Christmas, as she departed for the gathering of her kin, Michael remained behind, crafting her cherished soup to greet her upon her return. She returned home many hours hence, her visage marred by smudged paint and eyes awash in crimson, proclaiming that the hour was not yet ripe. "Once more, I beseech thee." He did bestow a gentle kiss upon her brow, and embraced her still. Once, in the stillness of their abode, he did softly inquire, "Dost thou ever long for a time when we were but? Is thus simple for them?" With eyes brimming with sorrow, Clare gazed upon him and softly uttered, "They would not comprehend. I do shield thee from harm's embrace." He didst smile and nod, yet within, a fragment of his soul did shatter. Within the confines of the chamber of healing, whispers did weave and wander about him. As if caught in a stillness, Clare's aunt did lean toward her cousin and in hushed tones did whisper, "Poor thing! Verily, I deem him naught but a dear companion." Michael didst hear it. Verily, he did indeed. He ever did perceive it. Yet he uttered not a word. He did not take it upon himself to amend their errors. He hath discovered that his affection requireth not their sanction. His sorrow sought not their consent. Yet the pain did linger still. He didst reach forth, and with tender care withdrew the frame from her satchel, his thumb gliding softly o'er the glass. Her smile did stretch with such breadth, so unconfined and joyous. Lo! It was a visage of her that none within this chamber had ever beheld. Verily, that in secret did inversion dwell. He recalled the tender moment when she did softly murmur against his breast after a weary day, "I loathe that I cannot share thee with them, yet I shall, upon a day most fair." He did hold faith in her, for though fear did grip her heart, her love remained steadfast and unyielding. It dwelt within her gentle motions, in the manner she bestowed upon him 2 tender kisses ere departing for her toil, in the fashion she reserved her finest tales for him. And now, dost thou inquire? Lo! Here he stood, clasping her hand as he had vowed, as her wedded lord, amidst a throng of souls who grasped but a fragment of her tale. Yet he had perceived it all, and that sufficed. The sterile hush of the chamber didst yield but to the measured cadence of the monitor's beeping. Lo! Clare's breath did wane, her hand a mere whisper in Michael's grasp, their fingers entwined as they were on that fateful eve when slumber first claimed them. Upon the couch, in days of yore, we sat entwined, having feasted upon a tale yet to find its end. Michael scarce a stir did make throughout the morn's embrace. He had not partaken of sustenance. He had not found repose in slumber's gentle embrace. He did but cling, both in body and spirit, to the sole soul who had ever rendered this hush a balm of tranquillity, rather than a desolation of solitude. The portal didst creak as it opened wide. Lo! Clare's mother did enter, her pearls clasped with fervor round her neck, as if they were armor, whilst her heels did strike the tile with a sound of command. Her visage, wan and ghostly, yet her orbs did gleam with a keen and merciless light. In her wake, a youthful cleric did follow, humble in his bearing, clutching the sacred tome and softly uttering words of benediction. Margaret didst not deign to acknowledge Michael. She didst stride forth to the bedside, and thereupon did turn to the holy man. She would desire a last supplication. Pray, she did beseech. With haste, she cast a sharp gaze upon Michael. He may bide his time without, in patience dwell. Michael stood still, as if time itself had ceased to flow. He had no need to do so. Margaret did draw nigh, her voice a keen edge, slicing through the air. This be a moment of kinship, a cherished gathering of hearts entwined. Ere Michael could utter a reply, a voice, gentle yet resolute, did interpose from the threshold. She did beseech for his presence, spake a nurse. Upon her breast, a badge did gleam, inscribed with the letter S, Rios, R.N. He doth not merely grace us as a guest, Margaret did bristle. He is not of our kin. Lo. The nurse did enter the chamber with grace, and with tender hand did rest upon the priest's arm, thus halting the sacred rite. Verily, he is, by the law's decree. He is named as her spouse within the annals of her advance directive and medical records. Michael spake not. With a gentle motion, he didst delve into the depths of his coat pocket, retrieving a modestly creased folder of diminutive size. The parchment of a beige hue did gently curl at its edges, as if in a delicate dance with the air. With gentle hands, he did unfasten it and did turn it towards the radiant light. Clare's mark, tidy and unmistakable, did rest just above the inscribed words. Next of kin, Michael Joseph Carter, beloved spouse. The holy man didst blink in bewilderment. The nurse didst bestow a gentle nod. Clare's mother gazed upon the parchment, as if time itself had ceased to flow. Her lips did part, yet naught but silence did ensue. Then, with a fleeting glance, her eyes did alight upon the wedding band that still gleamed upon Clare's finger, a sight she had endeavored to shun. All morn, Michael did not boast nor revel in triumph. He spake not, yet she did choose me. He spake not, yet she did choose me, even when her tongue could not reveal the truth. He didst fold the missive, and with care tucked it hence. Then he didst turn back to Clare, with tender grace, brushing aside a wayward strand of hair from her fair brow. The holy man didst clear his throat. Wouldst thou care to partake in the benediction? He did inquire, casting his query towards Michael on this occasion. Michael didst nod but once. She didst hold faith in grace, he spake with gentle breath. Let us bestow upon her that which is due. As the holy man did commence his solemn prayer, fair Margaret remained steadfast at the foot of the bed, her arms entwined, her stance a tapestry woven of perplexity and unease. Yet Michael had already turned back to that which held true import, her hand clasped within his own. And in that fleeting instant, encircled by the weight of judgment and the shackles of sorrow, he was not unseen. He was not concealed. He was precisely the man whom Clare had depicted in her letters, in affection, and in verity, her spouse, her kin. The funeral hath drawn to a close beneath a sky of sombre clouds, the sort that doth impose silence upon every nook and cranny. Lo, Clare's kin did gather in rigid bands neath the ancient oaks, their discourse but a mere whisper, fragmented and lacking depth. How fair the blossoms did appear, how graciously the service had been rendered. None did speak of Michael. He did stand solitary, not by his own design, as he had throughout his mortal days. In the waning hours of that day, within the serene confines of Clare's childhood abode, her youthful sister Emily did traverse the study with gentle grace. Dust did cling to the frames of portraits and tomes long forsaken. She sought not for any specific thing, but rather endeavored to sense the presence of her sister once more. Clare, with a heart so true, had ever cherished this chamber, oft declaring it the sole space within the abode that bore her essence. Fair Emily didst unfasten the lowest drawer of the desk, and lo! There it lay, a modest envelope of cream hue, perched upon a journal of faded azure, well worn by the passage of time. In fair and tidy script, it did declare, "To my kin, I beseech thee, read this when I have departed." Her breath didst halt. She paused, then bore the missive to the chamber where their progenitors lingered still, Margaret perched upon the couch's edge, her jaw clenched, whilst their father cradled a half-cup of tepid tea. "What dost thou behold? Pray, what dost thou inquire, fair Margaret?" Emily didst take her seat with great deliberation, her voice but a mere whisper upon the air. Lo! Clare hath departed, leaving behind a missive for us. Not a soul did utter a sound as fair Emily did break the seal. Her hands did quiver, Then gently she commenced, to utter words with voice profound. If thou dost possess this, I have already departed. In contemplation I found myself, pondering whether to pen these thoughts, for there were words unspoken in life's fleeting embrace, and now, bereft of all, I possess naught to forfeit. Thou knewest not Michael, not in truth. Yet I did. I did know each fragment of his being. The manner in which he didst steady my trembling heart in times of fear. How he did lend his ear, free from the weight of judgment. In the manner he didst bestow upon me a sense of security amidst a realm that proclaimed our very existence as naught but folly. Thou hast ever believed that I did shun him through the weight of shame. Verily, that doth not hold true. I didst keep him at bay, forsooth, to shield him from thine judgments, thy murmured slanders, the courteous smiles that ne'er did touch thine eyes. I wished not for the noble heart. I cherished to be regarded as lesser than his true worth. Lo, Emily's voice did tremble and quaver. Before her, their sire did cast his gaze low. Margaret's lips did form a straitened line, as if the very air around her held its breath. Fair Emily did continue, forsooth, I was diagnosed but a year hence. Forsooth, I kept my counsel from thee all, for I foresaw the outcome that would ensue. Attend the unfolding tale, wield dominion, seek solace in the chill of distant comforts. Yet, I did choose a path most divergent. Once more, in the quaint chapel by the tranquil lake, did Michael and I unite in sacred matrimony. Only we two, in this world entwined. In raiment pure as driven snow, I stood, whilst he, with tears unbidden, wept as we pledged our troth. It was the most joyous day of my existence, albeit I was aware it would be among my final moments. Thou mayest believe him not of kin, yet he was mine own blood. Mine sole true kin, in the final reckoning. Thus, if thou dost still hold him to be a blunder, verily, that is well enough. Yet mark this, my last desire was to be embraced by him as I departed from this earthly realm. And he bestowed upon me that gift, fully aware of the trials he would endure in my absence. Pray, cast aside thy pride. For me, the hour hath struck, yet for thee, the sands of time still flow. O dearest Clare, my heart doth yearn for thee. Silence descended as a curtain doth fall. Margaret didst blink, her lips parted yet devoid of utterance. With fingers deft and gentle, fair Emily did fold the letter, and upon the table she laid it down once more. She spake not a word. She had no need to do so. His sire did grasp his spectacles, and with tender care did wipe them, albeit they were already pure and clear. Never before in many a year had any soul beheld the glistening of tears within his eyes. In yonder corridor, the grandfather clock did chime, once, soft and distant, as if time itself released a treasure it had grasped with fervent hand. Above, the azure tome did bide its time beside a weathered collection of likenesses. And in a distant hush, there sat Michael within their modest chamber, encircled by forsaken teacups and the lingering fragrance of her cherished lotion, still clinging to a scarf she once adorned. He was unaware that the missive had been perused, yet such knowledge was of no import to him. He had already traversed it, each word, each day, each fleeting moment wherein she belonged to him. The sun, in its zenith, didst cast a gentle golden glow upon the humble graveyard, enveloping it in a serene embrace. Lo! The trees did sway with gentle grace in the breath of the wind, their branches entwined in soft murmurs, akin to the voices of yore, still weaving tales unto the very bosom of the earth. Michael did tread with measured steps upon the gravelled way, a cluster of fair peonies, pure as snow, held gently in his grasp. He did not hasten, for such was not his way when it concerned her. Upon the verdant ground, Clare's headstone did rest, beneath the ancient elm, both simple and fair, as she would have desired it to be. Neither ornate chisellings nor verses grand, but solely her name, the span of her days, and a humble line inscribed beneath in gentle, delicate script. In love's embrace, ever shall it be returned. Michael did kneel beside it. His fingers did gently sweep away the fallen leaves that clung to the base of the stone. He didst lay the peonies down, arranging them with utmost care, and then knelt back upon his heels, allowing the silence to envelop him like a gentle shroud. None other hath graced this day with their presence. He did not foresee their actions, and verily, that was well enough. He did exhale with a languid sigh. Hark, he spake with tenderness, his voice nigh consumed by the whispering zephyrs. At last, I have summoned the valor to tread upon the sands of the shore once more. He didst smile with a faint glimmer, his eyes awell with unshed tears yet dry as the parched earth. The bench doth remain, thy name still etched in yon corner. Upon it I did linger, recalling the mirth that danced upon thy lips when I first spake of the frigid waters, yet thou didst plunge forth regardless. Hark, he did bow his noble brow. They need not possess knowledge of my being. He did softly murmur, thou didst, and that sufficed. The zephyr did gently rise, pulling at his mantle with a playful hand. He didst reach into his pocket and withdrew a small likeness, one of the scant few they had captured together, one she had fervently insisted upon printing. She, adorned in a straw hat, he, with eyes narrowed against the sun's fierce gaze, both caught in a moment of mirthful laughter. He did set it beside the blossoms, burdened by a polished stone. Lo! A carriage door did softly shut behind him. Unbeknownst to Michael, a youthful healer from the infirmary did traverse the path, returning from her own pilgrimage to the hallowed ground of a grandparent's resting place. She didst halt upon beholding him, a figure of stature, a man of ebony hue, kneeling solitary, not in mourning per se, but in a state more profound, more tender. She beheld, hand upon her breast, the manner in which his shoulders stood firm, the way his silence appeared replete with presence rather than void. And lo, a change didst occur. She didst extend her hand towards her device, and did call forth, Father. She spake with gentle breath. Nay, all is well, I merely wished to convey unto thee my love. Michael didst rise to his feet, brushed the earth from his knees, and gazed upward to the heavens. The sun hath fully pierced the canopy of trees, casting its radiant light upon Clare's headstone as though bestowing a sacred benediction. He did bestow a gentle nod, as though addressing an unseen companion at his side, and then he turned, retracing his steps upon the gravel path, slow and steady, his footfalls whispering softly against the stones, bearing not merely sorrow, but a tranquil solace. Oftentimes, love doth require not the gaze of many, nor doth it don a garb to seek the nod of favour. It waits not for the grant of leave to unfurl its petals. It doth require but truth, and when the world doth shut its eyes, love doth appear regardless. Underneath a vast expanse of verdant boughs lies Clare's grave, ensconced in serene nobility. The zephyr doth softly stir, caressing her grave as a fleeting whisper of yore. Lo! Adjacent to it, nestled within the verdant blades, lies a solitary wedding portrait, its edges worn and faded, yet its heart doth still pulse with vividness. Lo! Clare and Michael, entwined in sweet embrace, their countenances aglow with mirth. So vast, thou couldst hear their mirth echoing through the visage. The sun doth seize the image at a most fortuitous angle. A gentle radiance doth shimmer upon it, soft and golden, as if the very cosmos, in its grandeur, doffed its cap to that which it hath beheld, yet never didst intrude upon. In yonder background, the zephyr doth frolic with the boughs, whispering through their leaves as if to sing a gentle lullaby. Henceforth, no secret shall linger, nor shame take root, only love, tender and patient, unapologetic, inscribed in stone and memory's embrace.